Another thing that's clear in this is that this man owned the tree. Now, if you're thinking I'm talking about a fig tree, you're going to be a little confused tonight because I'm talking about us. God owns us. We were bought with the price of Jesus Christ. But you see, God owned, or this particular man and God in general owned us before we were producing fruit. You see, He owned us before we're profitable. This tree at this point in time was just seeds, but He owned them. He owned them when they were more of a liability than an asset. He owned us before we loved Him. He looked down, and thank God He sees me for what I will become and not what I was. Because at times, I was not. He loved me when I was spitting in His face and disgracing everything that I was ever taught in life. But you know what? He looked down and said, that boy may be drunk right now, but he's going to be a preacher one day. And He looks at some girl that's laying on the street, maybe don't care about herself at all. But He says, I'm going to clean her up and she's going to sing one day. You know, He sees people for what they are going to become. A lot of times, like I said, He loved us when we were more of a liability than an asset to Him. He loved us before we were producing fruit. While we were yet sinners, Christ died for us. Before we were even lovable, He loved us. The man owned this fig tree. But you know, he thought enough of it and believed enough in it to plant it. Thank God He thought enough of me and you and thought that we could produce enough fruit that He even planted us. You know, sometimes we're saved from situations that we don't even know why we're saved from. A lot of times this year, like I said, this has been one of the worst years as far as just going through things and fighting. And I mean, how many of you have literally stared the devil in the eyes this year and told him to go back to hell? I've done that. I've done that this year. It's very ironic that this particular parable here is talking about 3 years. He looked at it 3 years and it produced no fruit. This is my 4th year being saved. Did I produce any fruit these past 3 years? When God came looking, when He came to look at what I'm doing and what I've made of my life, is He seeing fruit there? See, I think a lot of times, especially when you first come to Christ, you kind of get maybe a little pass for a little while, but then you got to start growing up. You got to start walking. You got to start crawling. You got to start talking. You got to grow up. Let's see here. A certain man had a fig tree planted in his vineyard, and he came and sought fruit thereon and found none. There's clear expectations here. The owner of this vineyard is talking to the gardener, or the man that dresses the vineyard. He's coming with expectations. He's expecting fruit on that. You see, God did not put you here and give you the talents He gave you and given you the abilities that He's given you and given you the life that He's given you for you just to merely get along and survive. He put you here for a particular reason. He gave you that skill set to bring Him honor and glory. He expects something from us. Brantley likes this because he's a businessman, but he's looking for an ROI, return on investment. He's invested his son in you. He's invested his time. He's invested his love. He's invested his mercy. He's invested his talents, his gifts, his fruits of